up, Tzu Chi volunteers visit care recipients in Kaohsiung to remind them to stay safe ahead of Typhoon Megi. The old Tzu Chi Kaohsiung Chapter building is turned into a retreat office to continue serving the local community. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Lee-Shioda. Thank you for joining us. In Taiwan, Kaohsiung residents had just endured the destruction of Typhoon Megi, yet on September 27th, Typhoon Megi made its landfall. To ensure their care recipients stay safe, Tzu Chi volunteers visited door to door on the eve of the windstorm to remind them of some typhoon preparedness. Prior to the arrival of Typhoon Megi, Tzu Chi volunteers in Kaohsiung headed to their care recipients' homes to remind them to stay safe.
Our distribution event has been cancelled, so we brought the relief cash to you personally.
It's thanks to Master Zheng Yin's compassionate heart that she sent these volunteers to care for me. I'm moved beyond words.
Although feeling ill, Mr. Lee still sees the volunteers off downstairs. It's this kind of familial affection that hurries the volunteers to the next recipient's home. With a son in the 10th grade, single parent Mr. Ke's heart is so much warmer with the volunteers' support.
They're so good to me and visiting me often. It's forever in my heart.
We want them to be careful and prepare some candles and water, just in case water and electricity supplies are cut off.
Reminding residents of all the tiny details for typhoon preparedness, Tzu Chi volunteers hope their care recipients, as well as the rest of Taiwan, can safely get through Typhoon Megi. Cambodia is experiencing one of the worst droughts in the country's history, which is influencing the price of food. Taiwan's government partnered with the Tzu Chi Foundation to send 600 tons of rice for the country. In Phnom Penh recently, a group of Tzu Chi volunteers from Singapore, Vietnam, and Malaysia helped distribute rice to the needy. This is Cambodia's capital, where a vast majority of citizens live below the poverty line. As the recent drought affected the price of rice, Tzu Chi volunteers have brought love from Taiwan in the form of rice to share. This building, which looks to be still under construction, is actually the home of a senior and a few children who live upstairs. Bringing some rice as well as their care, Tzu Chi volunteers keep the senior company. The senior knows the value of sharing, thus she puts aside a bag of rice, asking the volunteers to share it with someone else in need.
Honestly, I'm very happy to reciprocate to Tzu Chi. I want to help others who are poor like me. I hope there is enough rice to go around.
They are rich in spirit. For those of us living in such a blessed country, we should also count our blessings and give when the opportunity arises.
Throughout the visits to different recipients' homes, the volunteers realize though these people may be poor, they are actually quite rich in the spirit. In the Philippines, the San Mateo government of Rizal hosted a special ceremony to honor outstanding organizations and individuals who have greatly contributed to the local communities. At this event, the Tzu Chi Philippines chapter received an award for their charity and relief work across San Mateo.
The awarding ceremony began with energetic and lively performances. The San Mateo government of Rizal, Philippines presented a special award to outstanding organizations and individuals that had contributed to local communities. This time, the Tzu Chi Philippines chapter received the honor.
I believe it's the great partnership between the local government unit and the Tzu Chi Foundation Philippines that has kept it stronger, and it has lasted since it's been 4 years, according to your count.
Tzu Chi's love has been spread through San Mateo since a severe flood devastated the town 4 years ago. Seeing that many houses were still covered with mud after 1 month of the disaster, Tzu Chi initiated the Relief for Work program to encourage local residents to join the cleanup, with nearly 600 residents participating in this relief for work each day.
If we do not clean up the environment quickly, the children will get sick easily. The mud will attract mosquitoes, and it will become smelly when it rains. We can hardly bear all of this.
We were unable to clean up all of this even after a few months of the flood because only my husband and I could help out. Now with everyone's help, I believe the mud in front of our door will be cleaned up after 1 or 2 days.
We're also able to hone the leadership skills of some of our constituents, and now they're part of your volunteers.
Ever since, the Tzu Chi Philippines chapter in San Mateo continues to work with the local government to offer assistance to impoverished families and students, as well as disaster relief work spreading love throughout this town.
The Ecuadorian government's intention to build 8,000 permanent housing units for disaster survivors has encountered a number of administrative hurdles that are delaying the process. For this reason, many of the disaster survivors need to rely on the assistance of international organizations. An American foundation, along with the Taiwan Representative Office in Ecuador and the International Cooperation and Development Fund, have put forward a plan to build bamboo housing, making use of local building materials to help those in remote areas.
"60 hours after the earthquake, our team was already here, and to make this possible for helping Canoa's community first.
At this moment of hardship, Ecuador is really in need of international assistance.
An international nonprofit organization from the United States, All Hands Volunteers, mobilized 40 international volunteers as soon as they heard about the disaster, who work with 14 Canoa workers to build 4 bamboo structures.
Not to give them funding, it's just the other way around. We just demand from him help to get involved, and then our resources go to the people, and we try to engage with the local community, with the local workers, and our volunteers.
Ecuadorian government plans to build 8,000 permanent houses. However, local governments must first make plans for the rebuilding, and then a reconstruction audit committee must approve the funding before funds are released.
To speed up the overall post-disaster reconstruction requires not only Ecuadorian governments, but also the involvement of more international organizations to assist with lots of administrative decrees to more effectively assist victims.
A temporary bamboo shelter only needs 12 days to be constructed. All Hands plans to continue working until the end of 2016, where another village on the outskirts of Canoa will have 30 houses erected. Since northern Ecuador has 1,400 hectares of bamboo, after treatment, the bamboo housing can be useful in resisting earthquakes and insects and last for 50 years.
Here we see 25 Ecuadorian athletes building a structure sponsored by the Manabí province government and 2 American foundations. Their main goal is to build a stable community center.
It's been really great to see people from all over the world come here and want to get involved and hear their stories. It's been wonderful.
Volunteers like Christina have spent 4 months in Ecuador to help the survivors build houses, with other foundations contributing money.
After we heard of the devastating earthquake in April, we wanted to be able to support the community through the programs of our foundation. And through that, we created a fundraising initiative where we were able to generate over $30,000 that would come back into the community.
By teaching local people how to build houses, the pace of reconstruction was able to speed up.
I use my free time to help us in the future. I also hope to help this local community.
In this community, you can already see nearly 300 temporary housing units, which have been constructed by Manabí province in conjunction with NGOs.
It's quite cold and we don't even have blankets because the earthquake has left us with nothing.
In Manabí province, the average annual temperature is between 21 to 30 degrees Celsius. Though the dry season from August to November can see nighttime temperature drop below 20 degrees.
This is for the people that they did not have a home, but they lost everything because they were renting a little home in the city and they lost everything. And also for some disabled people and grown-up people that they don't have anybody to take care of them, you know.
With the government providing the land and water, NGOs have provided the funding for reconstruction, which has been the quickest, most effective model for rebuilding.
What's most important now is strong shelter that can resist the elements as rainy season will come in December, making life in tents very difficult.
While Ecuador struggles to recover from the earthquake, resources from abroad and cooperation with NGOs is making the transition easier. Equally important is the help from volunteers from around the world, uniting to help these disaster victims with love and compassion.
The Tzu Chi Kaohsiung Chapter, which opened its doors to the public in 1994, was established on Zhouru Road in Kaohsiung. However, after the Jingsi Hall was built in the area in 2006, the office on Zhouru was no longer in use. This year, Tzu Chi volunteers decided to renovate the old office, making it the newly renovated Tzu Chi Retreat in the Sanming and Bo'ai communities.
Tzu Chi volunteers and local residents happily participated in the move-in events at the newly renovated Tzu Chi retreats in Sanming and Bo'ai communities. Though the event was held at the same venue, the atmosphere is quite different from before. Everyone is here joyfully celebrating the move-in day. Looking back at this place a month ago, it was still being renovated. This is the office where Tzu Chi's Kaohsiung Chapter was established over 20 years ago. Since most of its furniture and decorations had to be removed, volunteers work hard together to prepare the new office.
The venue is large enough for us to have a place decorated with warmth and love, just like the living room in our house. It can be a place where gatherings are held, such as hosting a training seminar or inviting volunteers who haven't returned here for a long time to join in an event. Though the office has been renewed and has changed a lot, the goal of carrying out good deeds and spreading love remains the same. Tzu Chi volunteers from Jakarta, Indonesia, recently headed to the community of the beautiful Garden of Hope to host a monthly recycling event promoting environmental conservation. This time, a 12-year-old boy, Devin, joined his parents to sort recyclables. After his participation, Devin has learned a lot about the different ways to safeguard Mother Earth. 12-year-old Devin joins with his parents to squeeze the plastic bottles and clean the environment to carry out the act of recycling as a way to safeguard Mother Earth.
We try to change plastic bottles into reusable items. We should sort recyclables to help protect our planet.
A recycling point has been established in this community to encourage local residents to participate in this event. Because Devin's parents recognize the value of recycling, they take their son to join the event every time.
We brought him here especially to let him know what Tzu Chi does to protect the environment. This way he will learn to cherish the planet from this experience.
At 7 in the morning, 30 community volunteers are working together to sort recyclables, which has been collected from the community. Their hard work and devotion have attracted more residents to join this activity.
It doesn't matter how many recyclables the residents have donated. Everyone's participation has already helped a lot for the needy.
With everyone's participation to clean up the environment and collect the recyclables from the community, the idea of doing good deed through recycling has been spread throughout this community.
In March, Tzu Chi volunteers in Malacca, Malaysia received a report that a lonely, blind senior could not look after herself. Upon hearing the news, volunteers began bringing her 3 meals a day, showing love and compassion for this elderly woman.
6 months ago, Tzu Chi volunteers received a report about an 81-year-old woman who lived alone and was blind. She was unable to care for herself and often had no meals to eat.
I would often have no food for 2 or 3 days, but I was used to it.
News that an elderly person didn't have enough food to eat was tough to bear. So from Monday to Friday, Sister Sia Loti prepares food for her, and I do it on Saturday and Sunday.
I chop up the mushrooms into small pieces. They are also bitter gourds.
The volunteers are saddened by this grandma's condition, so they bring her hot meals every day and also clean her house and prepare drinking water for her too.
I'm happy that I have food to eat. They also help me clean up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Both are hot water, but this flat lid is coffee.
The volunteers take the grandma's hand to touch everything, so she can know the location of every item in her home. Despite their busy schedules, the volunteers don't slack off when it comes to looking after this grandmother.
If I come early, I can prepare something warm for her to drink. I remember once I gave her a cup and she told me to let her hold it for a while because she wanted to feel that warm feeling.
When I met her, I felt I was looking at my mother. Therefore, I have been helping her ever since.
In our next report on the activities of Taiwan's police officers, we'll take a look at how police officers are taking a direct role in dealing with troubled youth in Taiwan and helping them get their lives back on track. We'll visit a special auxiliary group of police officers in Taipei that have developed a course to give guidance to troubled youth who have had problems with the law.
These police have switched their regular uniform for white t-shirts and are walking the streets talking to young people, promoting good values and hoping to keep these kids on a positive life path. Sometimes, when young offenders finally commit a crime and run into the law, it is often too late.
In order to better understand the juvenile delinquent, we always make note of the family situation. When you look at their circle of friends, you can often recognize why they may tend to commit certain crimes or act in such a way. This way we can mediate better and offer them guidance.
In recent years, juvenile offenders aged 12 to 18 are most often involved with the police for one of 3 reasons: theft, violence, or the use of ketamine. After such offenses, most will end up under the supervision of social workers for a period of more than 2 years.
At first, it may take a long time to start getting through to the young person. It just takes time mutually interacting. It can be an especially difficult for an adolescent to open up to an adult they've never met. They tend to keep a very cautious attitude.
Special courses are designed specifically for these youth. They must be engaging and interesting.
所有人闭上眼睛，然后双手握拳放在桌上。
These students are playing a strategy game, which takes a few rounds to get them interested. But once they get the hang of it, they become intensely focused. This battle simulation game offers a chance to develop camaraderie between the youth and police officers, and also encourages teamwork. The game can create fierce competition between the players, but it is also an opportunity for positive social interaction and a healthy way to vent pent-up emotion.
A lot of times these youth will seem much more bad than they are. They might have come into contact with some truly dangerous kids or real bad apples. They may have been influenced a bit and seem worse than they are. Our group's aim is to break through to these kids and offer some guidance to get them back on the right track.
Young people generally face all of the same issues during adolescence. Things like physical and mental changes, tension with their parents, pressure to succeed at school, and dealing with exclusion or labeling among their peers. All of these things can lead to deviant behavior.
They're still growing up and their social environment is still in its formative stage. Adults like us tend to be more knowledgeable and can see the likely results of certain actions, but kids don't have this perspective yet. So we need to be patient and look out for these kids. We need to teach them which actions are right and which ones are wrong.
More and more police officers are taking an empathetic view towards troubled youth and encouraging them to avoid dangerous habits in favor of a healthy, positive life. In the next episode, we will see what the family life of officers is like and how they take care of their own families.
After leaving juvenile delinquent programs, young people often have problems reintegrating back into society or finding stable employment. Since May, a new rehabilitation program has been offered in New Taipei City that is meant to help people adjust to their new lives and help them find suitable employment. Since the program started, it has helped 18 people get their lives back on track.
These fried noodles and fried onion cakes are the product of Ray Ray's recent career training course, which she was able to find thanks to the help of career counselors in her rehabilitation program.
I started using drugs when I was in high school. I was always coming and going between jail and outside.
I started using when I was 14 years old. At the time, I was just curious.
For people leaving state corrections programs, finding successful employment as well as social acceptance can be very difficult for many reasons. But for people who have families to take care of, finding a stable job is absolutely essential.
My daughter is always there. I would say she is my motivation.
Starting in May this year, New Taipei City began offering a new rehabilitation program to help former inmates. So far, the program has successfully assisted 18 people to find stable work. Much of the program's success is thanks to others with a similar background who can empathize with the participants, offering their guidance.
Actually, the things that she really needs are pretty much the same things that anyone needs starting out. At the beginning, I was also helpless and in pain. There was no one around me to tell me where to go. I think the way the foundation taught us was really well suited to me. So now I use the same method to help the others here.
People who have committed crimes in the past really cherish the opportunity for work. We can offer these people who have been rehabilitated an opportunity for a stable life. We are not only lessening the problems of society, we are also easing the problems they will face returning to society and their families.
After the rehabilitation process, these participants also have the help of psychologists and employment counselors to help their integration back into society go as smoothly as possible.
Prior to Typhoon Megi making landfall, Tzu Chi volunteers in Taiwan continue to visit their care recipients to remind them to be careful of the approaching windstorm. When the volunteers saw that their care recipients had already prepared for the typhoon, their worries were put at ease. We'll leave you with these images at the end of the program. Thank you for watching. See you next time.